So this is the server lore from the last. So this is all based on server lore from the last server, and if you've seen the some of the videos from the last server where they take you around Spawn Town, it's being smashed apart by the large tentacle, which is known as Hentai Senpai, or is it Senpai Hentai? I'll find out in a minute.
Hentai Sentai.
No,
yeah.
it was Hentai Senpai.
Hentai
Yes,
Senpai.
it was. Have you seen Hentai Senpai?
Yes.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Of course.
And there's also
Why
bits
am I not
where there's also bits where the fish village is being smashed apart by the Blood God and a few other bits and pieces. So all of these books are kind of based on that lore. And there was a reason why Corfy took the giant crab worshipping armor.
Okay.
Before I read the first book, I should explain that there is a story behind Robert Downey Jr., which was that a few of us used to flirt with Fandom's mother. Now, Fandom's mother's never been on the server. In fact, she doesn't even know we exist, barely. Fandom's refuses to tell her about us. However,
I can't imagine why.
we were then told that we weren't allowed to flirt with Fandom's mother anymore because it was upsetting Fandoms. Unless it turned out that her mother was Robert Downey Jr. At which point somebody proposed the theory that we have never seen Fandom's mother and Robert Downey Jr. in the same place at the same time. So they must be therefore one and the same person.
Of course.
So Robert Downey Jr. has become a bit of a personality on the server. I don't know if she stripped it down, but there is a nice big portrait of Robert Downey Jr. next to Fandom's base at this point.
It's still there.
Yep. So the first armor today is the Robert Downey Jr. armor. During the fall of Good Neighbor, it was said that a mysterious figure wandered into town looking for love, wearing a set of mighty golden and Ferrari red armor. This individual was simply known as RGJ. While Hentai Senpai tore through the town battling the old gods, this mighty figure united a group of heroes to lead the charge against the rampaging monster. It was as if time stood still as RDJ used his mental ability to formulate his plan. First, he used the monster's own anger against him, luring him over to a windmill full of TNT. Then he got one of the other heroes to fire an arrow in his rough direction. The shot then set off the TNT, delivering a mighty explosion, which created a devastating blow against the creature. The old gods feasted on Sharma that day. The figure disappeared after the battle, never to be seen again. It was later that our resident historian found this armour in the teeth of a giant man-eating pumpkin, masquerading as a carrot. After a quick battle with said beast, the armour was retrieved. The armour has the ability to bestow great acting prowess on the wearer, allowing them to assume any role: hero, detective, action man, or even mother. It does, however, smell of alcohol and loose women. Wearers of this armour have been known to go a little crazy. Common complaints involving hearing Englishmen talking to you while wearing this armour, and seeing happy trolls cleaning minecarts. This armour has a warning sticker on the inside of the neck that simply reads, "Never go full retard." The wooden armour of the Stick God. The fall of the Stick God started with the death of Fish at the hands of Hentai Senpai. Jealous of the god's powers and influence, Hentai Senpai manifested into the world, first attacking the shrine to Fish, and then taking out his worship base and thus his power. Fish was the first to be defeated. It was while dying in Stick God's arm that the god decided that he needed Hentai Senpai out. So, for once, the bickering gods, Pearl, Stick, Blood and Satan, banded together to destroy the monster. Stick's powers were so little that he really was unable to really do anything in the ensuing battle, which rayed through Good Neighbor, tearing it asunder. The old gods without Fish were only ever able to match the strength of Hentai Senpai. It wasn't until the windmill exploded that the beast faltered and was then defeated. The remaining gods survived the battle, only to die later of food poisoning. The Stick God, who is vegetarian, was crushed at the loss of his friends and rivals and started turning to drink to ease the pain. His reporting for What News got sloppy, and soon he was fired. His wife Lola and his kids soon left him alone with no purpose. He ended up casting off the armour, which was later found being worn by a zombie hanging around JJJ's Antiques and Auction House, and using a ship he found near a sunken art gallery. The ship, HMS Snaps in Two, was eventually destroyed by a mighty tidal wave, smelling slightly of crab meat and butter. The stick god found himself washed up on the shores of a new server, where he found before him 4 areas of outstanding natural beauty, and it was in this moment he found his purpose. He would keep these areas pristine, lag be damned. The wooden armour of the stick god has no real abilities or weaknesses. It is wholly unremarkable in about every way, just like the god himself. It does, however, smell of alcohol and loose bushes.
I will hasten to add, this is definitely not canon.
Are you sure?
Absolutely.
The gods did not stay dead. The armour of the giant crab worshippers. The residents of Garstralia were happy in their peaceful lives, when suddenly, from nowhere, a giant crab monster erupted from the depths of the oceans to terrorise these land dwellers. It seems from news reports from the time, which are somewhat sketchy and slurred, that the giant crab monster was in fact sent forth from a temple of crab worshippers, who had summoned the giant crab to look for their legendary hero, Lucky Salmon. It turns out these crab people worship the Lucky Salmon from great collections of DVCs, digital video clams, to be packed out audiences via motion pictures. They were obsessed, and it seems that when Lucky Salmon went missing, the crab people were devastated, and so they summoned the giant crab monster to find Lucky Salmon and bring him back home. However, the crab monsters walked sideways, so when it was sent forth to stomp all over Zandra's zoo, it instead walked sideways and ended up in Garstralia. Lost and confused as to what it was doing, it started asking for directions to the zoo. However, as giant crabs are somewhat terrifying, the people of Garstralia feared for their lives and ran away screaming. This made the crab monster sad, and he dived back into the ocean, creating a tidal wave that would circle the world, destroying many ships, before finally flooding the Cleopian desert. He returned to the crab people and told them that the land people were all crazy and he wanted nothing to do with them anymore. The crab worshippers ate the crab monster and instead now watch @JoeHills on his YouTube, many now quoting his famous poems. To summon a giant crab, first you need to wear the red armour of the giant crab. 2. Lubricate self with copious amounts of butter. 3. Bring to boil the great pot of boiling. 4. Throw in the member of the village that thought Mojang of Minecraft. Thought Mojang were taking chickens out of Minecraft. 5. Stand around for a few days. 6. Finally, when nothing happens, phone giant crabs R Us and order a number 56V to go. The crab worshippers are all so tiny and adorable that even when they are smacking you in the kneecaps with their tiny spoons of death, you still can't help but think that they are the cutest of all the people. This armour was found in the teeth of a giant crab people eating carrot, masquerading as a pumpkin. And after a quick battle, the armour was... our historian was able to retrieve the armour. It smells faintly of butter and loose cockles. Also found was a lump of butter, presumably used in the ritual of crab monster summoning, and a golden butter knife, which led to the question, if they have access to knives, why do they insist on going around into battle with spoons? They were all transfixed on the latest @JoeHills video to comment. The people of Garstralia now spend their days crying over the loss of their former home, Garstralia. King Khufu's pajamas. It is said that King Khufu was one of the seriously radical dude, and he would often have sleepover parties in which he would invite world leaders, heroes, gods, and some D-list celebrities, and that they would take the piss out of before casting into the crocodiles in the Nile River. It was at one of these parties that Fish God and the Blood God would get so drunk, and while no one seems to remember what happened, it is true that several months later Hentai Senpai would be born unto the world. King Khufu, ashamed of his part in the birth of the monster that would later go on a rampage killing gods and ripping apart good neighbour, that he would try and fight the monster himself. Losing an eye in the process, refusing to give up, he set in motion a plan to lure a mighty hero to good neighbour to help destroy the monster. Plan for summoning of heroes. 1. Set up a secret organization. 2. Build a large flying base of some sort. 3. Tell people that Santa is real and could be spotted over Poopington Falls. 4. Wait around for a bit. 5. If a hero doesn't show up, then set up a fake dating site and pose as a pretty lady, and flirt with them, luring them to the area in which you want the monster or alien invasion dealt with. And so King Khufu set up a dating site called Badass Mothers for Patreons. After the fall of Good Neighbor, King Khufu was never seen again, although his legendary armor was found and donated to another museum his pajamas would be lost almost forever, until our resident historian would find them in the teeth of a giant parsnip masquerading as a mango. It smells faintly of sand and loose mummies. Last but not least, the Skelly Revenge Plate. The armour of the Mermaid Historian. After many adventurers fighting off giant carrots, potatoes and cauliflowers, all in the name of rare valuable armour, our historian was ready to retire the legendary Skelly Revenge Plate. And so it was scrubbed up nice and clean. However, what was thought to be diamond armour turned out to merely be brass, and that our historian only survived through sheer luck. No one is sure where this armour comes from, but it does seem to date back to a time before Good Neighbor. The grimacing pumpkin head staring out from the armour seems to glow with outer-worldly powers, although so far the only power it seems to possess is the power to give the wearer a slight headache. The armour was briefly lost from the collection, as it was stolen from a deep storage unit. However, it was later found in the teeth of a giant leek masquerading as a lettuce. It smells faintly of Pepsi and loose zombie Cleos. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Jenny.
No, thank you.